Okay, hello everybody. Um, I'm just gonna start now. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to today's Applied Medical Sciences undergraduate open event. Thank you so much for joining in. My name is Miriam Domakos. I'm a current applied medical science student here at UCL and the chair for today. We hope that you had the chance to watch our Faculty of Medical Sciences Open Day video on our website, and that this Open Day Q&A session will address those course-specific questions you may have, and it will help you gain an insight into what it's really like to study here at UCL and studying this Applied Medical Sciences undergraduate program. So today our speakers will introduce to you our AMS program, followed by an overview of the structure of the program and a Q&A session, which is very interactive, and you have a lot of opportunities to join in for this event. This session is being recorded and will be made available following today's event. And we're here to respond to all of your questions, so please share these throughout the Zoom call at the Q&A function tool here on Zoom. Now to introduce our speakers, we have first Professor Jennifer Ron. Professor Jennifer Ron is the head of the Center for Virological Biology and runs a research laboratory studying treatment-resistant urinary tract infection. Based in UCL's Division of Medicine, she's also a deputy director and admission tutor for Applied Medical Sciences and the program lead for the integrated BSc in Clinical Sciences. Joining Professor Ron is Dr. Ioannis Papayano, who is the year one lead for Applied Medical Sciences courses. So thank you all, and thank you to Professor Ron and Dr. Papayano, and now over to you.
Thanks for the kind introduction. We're going to share our screen now. Can everybody see that? Yeah, okay, welcome again. Thank you so much, Miriam, for the kind introduction. We're here to talk about applied medical sciences, of course, and our motto is fusing science with medicine, because it really is a very integrated course that's half biological, half medical, and it's really rather unusual in that regard. The program director is Professor David Spratt, and it's a 3-year BSc in the Division of Medicine.
Right, so we are part of the Division of Medicine, which is the largest department within the Faculty of Medical Sciences. And in fact, the faculty is home to the largest concentration of biomedical scientists in Europe. And we all exist in this very unique and very privileged ecosystem that consists of cutting-edge UCL labs, biomedical labs, and also cutting-edge clinical facilities in our affiliated teaching hospitals, which are some of the best in the world for specialist treatment and teaching. And it's in fact this potent synergy between our clinical and non-clinical and also our teaching staff that's made UCL such a powerhouse for both medical research and teaching. In fact, we are currently #1 for research power in the UK for medicine. And I'm only slightly exaggerating when I say that you can take a product from the test tube to the bedside without ever leaving Bloomsbury, because that is the kind of reservoir of vast expertise that exists within this small little triangle of London.
Absolutely.
And you know, this is the kind of environment that you will get to be part of, and particularly your second and third year, when you're thinking about doing a project, or you're thinking about doing an internship, or you're thinking about doing perhaps a volunteering event. That can really make an enormous difference. You'd be working with some internationally renowned and world-leading scientists. And to show you exactly what kind of impact UCLs have, I'll now pass the baton to Professor Ron, who will tell you about some of our impactful research.
It was really hard to choose. I mean, we have thousands of really groundbreaking things going on it's a massive university with so much research. We just picked a few examples here that are sort of display the breadth and depth of what we do. So for example, Crohn's disease, a really serious disease. We've done research at UCL that's caused an actual change in the diagnosis and monitoring of this disease using specialized diagnostic techniques that were developed here at UCL. So we have a big emphasis on diagnosis in our division. Rare untreatable diseases, we have a lot of emphasis on rare diseases, many different kinds of them. This is one example. There's a heart disease that was really difficult to prove. really difficult to treat, and now we've come up with new treatments for that based on the research that took place in that regard. And this third example is really amazing. I'm just going to take you through the story. During COVID, which I hope you all remember, it's sort of feels like a long time ago now, but if you can take yourself back to 2020, when there were people in the UK dying because we didn't have enough breathing devices. So I don't know if you remember, but the ITUs were filling up with people. We'd run out of assisted breathing devices. So UCL got together with some really interesting people, Formula One and Mercedes, and decided to come up with, as quickly as possible, some sort of replacement for mechanical ventilators so that we could save more lives. And the plan, it was a really interesting, I don't have time to tell you the story, but basically there was an out of patent device. They basically picked an old example of something that used to work a little bit. They souped it up and made it really good, made it more efficient. They tested it on people, they got regulatory approval, and manufactured 10,000 devices all within a month. If you can imagine, it normally takes years and years to get new devices onto the market, but because of the emergency and because of the expertise that we were able to leverage here, we managed to deliver 10,000 breathing devices right when they were needed. And I think the best thing about it, which exemplifies UCL's ethos, is we then gave all the instructions free of charge to anyone in the world who wanted to do it as well. So we didn't, it wasn't patent protected. It was given as a gift to the rest of the world because everybody was in trouble then. So that just really emphasizes, sort of the quick thinking, the collaborative spirit, the social spirit of UCL. And there
also
are
also this collaboration between clinicians and non-clinical scientists, because here you have a collaboration between engineers, medical engineers, between actual engineers, also our industrial partners. You can see how because of this expertise and this connection that we have with industry, UCL is this kind of hotbed for new product development.
Yeah, absolutely. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about some of the
our incredible record in Nobel Prizes. So just to illustrate how important medicine is within UCL and how successful UCL is, we have 29 Nobel Prizes, and 27 of them are STEM based. So we only have a couple of non-science based, and out of those, 16 are in physiology and medicine. So physiology and medicine, the tradition of research in physiology and medicine goes back, more than 140 years and 20 years now. And we have been incredibly successful as a college in actually changing the world and driving change globally and producing some research that's really impacted people's lives.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this slide's a little bit busy, I apologize, but it's really important for you to understand the structure of this course because it's really unique. So if you look at the bottom, that's year one. And in year one, you actually, this is the integrated medical science year. You share year one with 5 other BSc courses in our faculty. So you can see them at the top. Applied Medical Sciences on the left. We've got Nutrition and Medical Sciences, Sports and Exercise Medicine, Cancer Biomedicine, Medical Innovation Enterprise, and Infection and Immunity. And this is the current makeup. Of course, this might change, of course, in coming years. But all of the students of all these programs sit together in year one as one big cohort, which is really lovely because you can meet lots more people than you would have met otherwise. And you can get exposed to all the different ideas from all these different disciplines. And there are core modules, which are in dark gray, which are in light gray, and optional modules, which are in dark gray, but everybody's doing basically the same thing. And the beauty of this is that if you get to the end of year one, say you're an AM student, and you think, you know what, I'm really interested in cancer, you can switch courses up to the end of year one really easily. And it's not like a big deal. You just talk to your program lead and you switch. And this flexibility is what's so amazing. So if you come in on an AMS degree, you don't have to stay there. You might be seduced away to another one. And equally, people who are started in medicine, cancer biomedicine, have said, oh, AMS is more interesting because it's more broad and I want to do that. So people go back and forth and it's no problem at all. And I think this flexibility is amazing. But in year two, you start to specialize. And when I say specialize, with AMS, we're a little bit different because we are the broad choice. AMS is not trying to force you into one particular discipline, but you're allowed to choose your own path by choosing your different different optional modules. And we have actually pathways mapped out for different destinations. So if you want to do this particular career, we can recommend which modules you can take. And there's a huge variety of modules throughout UCL that you can take. So if you're not quite sure what you want to do, AMS is an excellent choice because it's so broad. But if then you decide you like immunology or you like sports, you can then switch in year one. So I really like this setup. I think it's really flexible and really nice. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about AMS specifically?
So the idea, the concept for the course was created exactly by this collaboration between clinical and non-clinical scientists that I talked about before. And the idea was to create science graduates who also have a deep expertise and deep understanding in clinical science. So basically, they can bridge the gap because there's a big gap. So when clinicians talk to each other, they use a kind of different scientific language from when basic science talk to one another, and it's actually quite difficult to get into that kind of thinking if you are not of that discipline. But now, especially in this day and age, where there is so much mingling of the two, so much mingling of disciplines outside biology as well within medicine, you kind of need people that can bridge that gap. And in fact, most of the jobs in healthcare that are not done by doctors are done by medical scientists who need to interface with doctors. And that is why we think that it's so important to have this dual background. And again, it's basically somebody who can do the basic science, but can actually speak and understand that special language that clinicians have. And we use a range of different teaching methods to make sure that we bring out your full potential. And also we allow you to personalize your degree so that you can choose what kind of outlet you want to take yourself into. Can you go into the next slide, Jenny? And you know, there is an option, sorry, the previous one I meant.
Yeah.
There, perfect, thank you. And there is a wealth of potential outlets here. So you can work in so many different things. We have actual students who went on to work in clinical trials or hospital management or public health. One of our graduates is in fact one of the editors in the Lancet, one of the most prestigious medical journals in the world. So there is such a broad potential from this course, and we give you the flexibility to tailor your degree so that you can apply for your dream job and have an academic trajectory that makes you suitable for it straight away. Okay.
I want to talk about dream jobs because when you enter your degree, you sometimes have an idea of what your dream job might be, but you maybe haven't had enough experience to know if that actually is your dream job. And I want to give a great example. Some of our students come to us because they have not gotten into medical school. So they apply to us instead as a second choice. And it's interesting what happens to these students. Some of them go through AMS, brush up their skills, and get into medical school in a postgraduate situation. So a lot of our students go on to do medicine. They tried to, they didn't get in, they came to us. We gave them all the tools and skills they needed, and now they went off to do medicine. Other people have come in, people who wanted to be, doctors, and then they decide, actually, I want to be a scientist. And I've learned about all this really cool science, and I want to be a scientist. So all sorts of things can happen when you enter AMS because it's so flexible and so broad. And if you're not sure what you want to do, this is an excellent choice for you. It may not be what you think it is. Okay. Dr. P is going to tell us a little bit more about our really super innovative teaching approaches.
So in the division of medicine, we outsource a lot of our, well, not outsource, that's the wrong word. We allow specialized teaching staff like myself, who are basically doing more teaching than research, to do the bulk of the teaching, and then we have specialist sessions with our experts. So that is what you can expect. In the first year, you'll be mostly interacting with me and the staff that work with me. And then as you go on to your second and third year, then you'll branch out more into the research staff and start working with them as well. But one of the problems with the traditional format that you might have been used from school, where you have a teacher talking at you, is that after about 20 minutes, half of the class is asleep and the rest of the class is on their phones playing games. and or chatting social media because they're bored. It's
I
boring.
never did that when I was a student. No.
It is boring. So I've had one student tell me, "Oh, can you please tell the year to teachers to not be so boring because they will do traditional lectures." So we want to avoid that because we want to help ease you into the university life and help make sure that you get that quantum and that of knowledge that you need so that you can actually go into a lecture and get ideas for yourself and make it interesting and exciting. And we do that by using flipped learning. So flipped learning, some people say it's online learning, but it's not. The idea of flipped learning is that you have resources which are online, and instead of me telling you basic facts in the lectures, I'm going to give you an activity so you can practice all the knowledge that you have and actually get to see how that knowledge works out in practice. How do you use it? What does it mean? And also we can discuss the more rarefied, more esoteric aspects of the content that can be hard for somebody to understand on their own. So that's why you need me. Otherwise, if I'm just going to tell you basic facts, you can do that by, opening a book or watching a video, and it's you don't have to pay £9,000 a year to do it. So the reason why you're here is to have exactly this kind of expert discussion, but you can't have it without a certain sufficient core of knowledge. We give you that in an easy to digest way, and then we basically take you further and we train you and make sure you got it right in the live session. So that is our main teaching style, but we incorporate a lot of other activities. Jenny, can you move on to the next slide, please? Thank you so much. So we use a lot of innovative teaching modalities because we know that every student has their own preferences, and every student has a medium in which they work the best. So we have things like flipped classroom, which I described before. We have small group learning where we basically teach you skills and give you more experiences that you will need when you come to apply for a job or something else. We also do problem-based learning because problem-solving skills are critical in science. We have workshops where you'll actually work with your friends from the course to create output, and then that output could be part of your coursework, for example. And indeed, we have a good mix of exam types. So we have some MCQ exams, but we have a lot of mix of very exciting coursework that's actually designed not to just assess you, but to teach you. So a coursework which is designed to just teach you is a waste of time because, what are you learning? That's the key thing. And by making you do coursework that simulates the kind of things that you will be producing in a job, as a researcher, as a scientist, then we are basically training you in real life techniques, in real life skills, and also making sure that you actually get your chance to practice the content that you learn. Okay? So our motto is assessment for learning, not learning for assessment. Yes, and also we give you a lot of other resources that you might need. For example, we help you develop a portfolio if you want, and that's very useful. We have very interesting laboratory practicals which are designed to give you a nice overview of what it's like to work in a lab, so that you can decide if a lab is for you, if research is for you. We also offer a lot of very interesting research projects. Some of them are lab-based, some of them are literature-based, some of them are things that you might do in a job, like public health or doing large data set. We even had a student doing AI in diagnostics, for example. That was a really fantastic project. And we do have the occasional traditional lecture in year one, and there is more of them in year 2 and 3. But the key thing is that there is a very varied mix. You're never going to feel like, everything is the same. It's always the same. It's always going to be a mixture of teaching modalities, a mixture of coursework, a mixture of assessment, to make sure that you get the chance to put your best self forward. Okay.
Well said.
And as I mentioned, we're teaching face to face, so we don't teach online, but we do have online resources, and you can expect that it will take approximately 15 hours a week, the face to face teaching. So it gives you enough time to think, to read, to study on your own, to basically explore extracurricular activities. It's not going to be a real life job. We have, I think, a nice work-life balance going in the course.
I agree with that. Yeah, and then just to say a little bit more about the research projects, they're really exciting. So you're embedded in a real live research team, typically. And for example, people who've worked in my lab, I work in urinary tract infection, they've contributed to some of my papers. We've done research with students that have ended up being covered by the international press. And it's really exciting when that happens because it's just lovely to know that you're not just, pretending to be a lab or shadowing someone. You're actually doing research that makes a difference. And I think that's what it's all about, because that's another kind of teaching. It's another way of teaching by doing, learning by doing, and I think it's really important. Okay, but
And
what about
also,
careers? Let's talk about careers.
let's not forget, sorry, Jen, and also,
Oh,
let's
sure.
not forget that, some of you might not want to go into research, some of you might be thinking of employability and,
True.
and getting
Yes.
work in industry or in publishing and so on. And part of the course is also designed to make sure you get those transferable skills and those experiences that you will need to tick those boxes in that application form. So we know what those boxes are. We talk to employers and they tell us what they want, and we make sure that the course delivers it. And we have a whole program centered to that, which is the small group teaching program. And that's designed to teach you about the scientific process and also make sure you come out with the experience and employability skills that you need to successfully navigate an interview or an application form.
Okay, so we've been keeping track of our students since the course started in 2014. Oh, gosh, it's been 10 years. It's been
Yes,
10
it
years.
has. Amazing,
How did
isn't
that
it?
happen? Okay, so and we because we're such a friendly bunch, we like to keep in touch with our students, and they often tell us what they're up to, and a lot of them go straight into employment. And here's some examples here: the clinical trials management, public health. They work for the government. There was somebody working in number 10 Downing Street. It's quite interesting. Some people going into finance and probably earning way more than I do. Science communication, all sorts of things like that. But the vast majority, or the bigger majority of our students go on to further study. PhDs, medicine, or dentistry. And then lots and lots of people go on to do master's degrees before they go on to do other things. And the breakdown is here. It's a relatively recent breakdown. So you can see master's is by far the most common destination. About 1/3 of our students that we know about go on to do a master's degree. These people are probably heading towards scientific research career, but with the master's, you can also do all sorts of other things. Medicine. So yeah, we have great success getting our students into medical school, both first year medical school and graduate medical school at really prestigious medical schools such as Imperial, Cambridge, Oxford, things like that. So yeah, proud of that record and lots of other things as well. I think now we just have to talk a little bit about the entry requirements. This is all online. You can find all this, but maybe Dr. P can tell us a little bit about the
Yeah,
standard
so our
offer.
standard offer is 3 A's, and you must have a grade A in biology and at least one from chemistry, mathematics, and physics. But chemistry is a great choice if you are the kind of person that likes chemistry. We do offer some contextual offers, and typically they are BBC. And again, you must have biology and one of chemistry, mathematics, and physics. And I mean, everything is on the website. You can find it really easily.
Also IB, it's 38 points, and there's all the details here. So yeah, I don't know if someone can put in the chat the link to the AMS website. And if you're an international student, there's a drop-down menu, you can put your own country, and it will tell you the offers, the equivalent offers for your country. I think that's it. And I think all that's left to be said is we really would be thrilled if you wanted to join our course. And I think it's time for some questions. So thank you very much. And back to you, Miriam.
Yes, perfect. So guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to pop them into the Q&A tool on Zoom. If you have any questions for me as a student or Professor Ron or Dr. Papagianno, let us know.
I think since there aren't any questions yet and people are still warming up, maybe I could ask you a question, Miriam. Would you mind?
Sure.
I think people probably really want to know what it's like to be a student, both at UCL and in the AMS course.
Yes. So I'm an international student, so my experience might be a bit different in terms of application for most of you, I guess. It was really exciting moving to London, I'm not gonna lie. Huge city, way bigger where I'm from. And it was really, really cool. I found that there was a lot of support from UCL and the AMS team, Faculty of Medical Sciences, in terms of how to navigate in the first year, especially how to deal with studying, with lectures, with exams, with all of that things that I wasn't exposed to before. Also, apart from studying personal things, there's a huge variety of well-being support, which is really, really nice. But generally, I really enjoyed AMS. I'm currently in my third year, so only got 3.5 weeks left, and then I'm done. I'm finished. Counting down the days, but I really, really recommend you this degree. And it is really a good bridge between science and medicine, and you find your interest, and have a nice experience. And yes, I can see that there are 2 questions coming in, so let's switch to these. The first one is, would you want students to have any hospital work experience?
I think I can answer that as the admissions tutor for AMS. It's not essential. It's really nice to see in your personal statement that you've done some volunteer activities and you've perhaps had some hospital. It's totally not necessary. And I know sometimes it's difficult to get this experience. What we're looking for in the personal statement are your passion and your ambition, and your desire to study this subject. I wouldn't advise you to use ChatGPT to write this or pay for someone to write your statement. It's really obvious when the student is not written their own statement. And what we're looking for is the genuine, expression of your desires, not some, outsourced, paid for statement. So do just put your own heart and soul into it. It doesn't have to be perfect English. We know a lot of our students are international. Just, show us that you're passionate about biology and biomedical, sort of clinical biomedical stuff, and don't worry too much about what experience you have.
Yes. So what I, for example, did, I had some internship experience before, so I put that in and talked a bit of how that has helped me to identify my interests and why I enjoyed that and why I want to go into research. And then for international students, if you're unsure about your English, send your personal statement to your English teacher and just ask them to read over, and they, at least mine, was more than happy to help me. And then maybe send your personal statement to your biology teacher as well, and they have a read through to make sure that it is just correct in terms of biology and in terms of the words you use. But yeah, that should be fine then. What positive things stand out in an application?
Yeah, I think I just covered that. So again, just to reiterate, be genuine, be passionate, and just tell us what you like and what you want to do. And that's what we're looking for.
Yes. Do you favor students that have AMS as their top choice over those students who have AMS as their fifth option as they want to do medicine?
This is a tricky question. So this changes every year. I don't think this is a question that I would like to get back to people on. And I think the best thing to do is to email admissions, because they change things all the time. And I'm not completely familiar with what's going to happen for the next cycle. So do contact UCL admissions. They're really helpful. Perhaps Kate could put the link in the chat. By the way, Kate's also put the UCL prospective students link in the chat if you're interested in what the entry requirements are. But if we could maybe have the contact details for the admissions, that would be really useful. So specialized questions like that are best aimed at admissions.
Yes. Somebody asked if you are the teachers of the course or one of the teachers.
So yes, we are.
Yeah.
But you'll find that there's a very wide variety of teaching staff. So it's not school where you have just one kind of teacher. So I teach approximately a quarter, I would say, of year one, and there is another 6 or 7 tutors who also teach other parts, including the practicals. And then in year 2 and year 3, it branches more and more as the content that you get is more and more specialized. So there's a very wide variety of teaching staff and very wide variety of teaching styles, which is actually part of the ethos of the course.
And I would say it's pretty nice to have different teachers and not the same one as well. Especially we have from time to time had professors invited, so guest lecturers, which was really, really nice, and really exciting scientists. And as a student perspective, that is really cool and interesting to see something happening in real life, not only the fundamental information you get. Is applied sciences very competitive in applications compared to other divisions like cancer biomedicine?
It's pretty competitive. We have lots and lots of applications. And yeah, it's a thriving, popular course. I don't know the exact, like who's more popular. I mean, yeah, I don't know, but it's pretty competitive. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't try.
Yes. What is the acceptance rate for this course?
I don't know because we're the academics. We're not involved in the selection process so much.
What is your favorite part about AMS?
That's a question for you.
Yes, my favorite part, I think, oh, sorry, the siren, that's typical London. I would say. My favorite part is probably that you were exposed to a lot of medical things in terms and fields. And before that, I just knew a lot of biochemistry and the cellular parts, but not a lot of medical things. So it was nice in the first year that I got exposed to cardiovascular science, neuroscience, musculoskeletal science, and I've never really like read something about that, or kidneys or stuff like that, or the gut. And it was nice to read that and learn all of that, and that helped me to identify my interests and navigate and decide where I want to go. So I really enjoyed that I'm not really like set to one thing. With AMS, you're not set to cancer or immunology, or even neuroscience, you're not set to, oh, you only do that. You can choose and explore a lot of different things, but still have a really, really in-depth knowledge on each of these systems. So I really enjoyed that. Yeah, I'd say. Where is the study mostly taking place?
And you could answer that. Year one is mostly at the Royal Free Hospital in Belsize Park, although there's plenty of teaching in Bloomsbury even in year one, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a mixture. So our main your main venue would be the Royal Free Hospital in Hampstead, which is approximately a 20-minute train ride from Bloomsbury, and you will have a few sessions in Bloomsbury as well, but not quite as many. The majority of your time will be spent in the Royal Free, which is actually a very nice place and a very nice venue.
Yeah.
That's year one, though. In year
Yeah, that's
two,
year one.
it's probably
In year two, it changes. So in year two, again, there's always a mix, but the Bloomsbury becomes more important in year two. And also because of your elective modules, you might actually end up going to different parts of UCL, some of them even outside Bloomsbury.
perhaps Miriam could just quickly say, is it inconvenient having to go back and forth? I mean, how easy is it for you as a student?
So I was living in student halls the first year, which was like right next to UCL, and there are great bus connections there, which, as you guys said, takes around like 20-25 minutes, or you just take the tube. It was very like inconvenient because also Hampstead is a nice area and they have a lot of good like spots if you want to grab a coffee or something to eat or stuff like that. And within the hospital itself, you have, so there's a student room where there is a kitchen and really, really nice study places. There is a separate, I think they did this year, like a separate study spot just for AMS students in the hospital. So they provide a lot of facilities for students to have like a room where they can just go back, study, chill, and not be in this hospital environment. There's also a big library at the Royal Free Hospital. And then mostly in year one, you have like 1 or 2 back on back lectures. So you spend like a few hours there and then just go back. So I wouldn't say it's too inconvenient. Yeah. Is it okay to apply both biomedical sciences and AMS?
Of course it is. A lot of people do that. Both these courses are very good. Biomedical Sciences is a great course. It's just a little bit different. I don't know if anyone's, yes, somebody's even asked that question below. So I'm going to answer it now because it always comes up. What is the difference between applied medical sciences and biomedical sciences? The difference is the medical component of AMS. We have a lot more clinical stuff, and we talk about the science underpinning medicine a lot more. In biomedical science, of course, you're going to learn about diseases and things, but you're not going to get that really clinical emphasis that you're going to get with us. Both of these courses can lead to a research degree quite easily, but I feel like AMS would be more likely to give you an edge on jobs where you really need to be clinically literate. And I think that would be the main difference.
I think biomedical sciences is much more focused on industry jobs than healthcare jobs in general.
Are they?
So if you're interested in healthcare, I would say AMS has the edge. If you're interested in industry, like pharmaceutical industry or things like that, or even working for a manufacturer who does medical devices, then biomedical sciences has a lot of advances. But I would say for if you actually want to get involved in healthcare provision, because you need that clinical edge, AMS is more advantageous.
Yes. What do you most enjoy about AIMS and how much lab work is there? I already kind of like touched on these questions, but something else I really liked is how much you actually learn about pathophysiology. And as an AM student, you will most probably, hopefully, find this really interesting. How diseases progress, how they start, and how to treat them, what's going really on. And I really found that was really, really interesting, especially what I already talked about, that you have guest lecturers coming in and talking about their research, or your professors, your teachers giving you an insight into their research. I remember both of our speakers giving me lectures on their research, and that was really, really nice and interesting, and it gives you a little bit of a perspective on how actually to apply everything you learn. And then how much lab work there is, maybe you guys can answer that, because I don't know.
So that is an
Yeah, again,
interesting
it's
question. The amount of lab work that is there is, I would say, about as much as you would like. So it's you
good
you
answer.
have a choice. So there are the labs in year one, which are designed to basically give you the skills for year two. We don't assess them. They're not optional, so we insist that you come, but we don't assess them. And in year two, there are fewer labs. They're not fewer, but the lab sessions become more tailored to teaching you particular techniques. But in year three, where you're going to do your research project, that's the biggest chunk of lab work. It's optional whether you want to be in a lab or not. Yeah. So aside from year two, which is where the labs have an important where you can't avoid the labs essentially, year one and year three, you have the freedom to choose. If you love the lab, you can have as much of it as you like. We have tons of labs which welcome students who want to do maybe a summer internship or just come and shadow the postdocs there. There's a lot of labs. There's a lot of opportunities for you to get internships and studentships if you want. And of course, if you want to do a lab-based third-year project, we have so many wonderful labs and world-leading labs where you can do really fantastic research. And we've had AMS students actually publish papers from the third-year project, and some of them, I mean, are really good papers. So I'm actually kind of jealous occasionally.
Okay, I'm presuming that you don't need the UCAT to study AMS.
No, it's an undergraduate course. Yeah, BSc.
For your dissertation, do you have a choice on what to pick, or are you given options on what you want to do and on what you want to do on it?
And it's really exciting because the entire faculty puts projects into a big pool, hundreds and hundreds of projects, and the students you can look through all of those projects and pick one. You won't necessarily get your first choice, but you get to choose like your top 5, and they try to match the students. If you don't see anything on the list that you like, you are also allowed to go out to UCL and find your own project. You just have to get it approved by the module lead. But there is a lot of choice. I mean, I think Dr. P already mentioned the huge range, like a data-driven big AI stuff, traditional lab work. We even have non-traditional projects, like some people have been looked at teaching or science communication. So, and then the library projects, we really want to delve into a topic and just write a paper about that. So huge variety. And hopefully we can hook you up with something that you're really interested in. It's not usually a problem.
For example, what I'm doing, I decided that I want to do something outside the faculty. I really
Oh, you
wanted
did?
something in women's health and reproductive health. So I reached out, I looked at the list online on UCL, the research departments, and I emailed them. And now I'm working with Dr. Jeannot in the women's department at UCL.
Hmm,
Yeah, and it's going well.
great. It's great you can take the initiative like that. That's really useful.
Is this course lab-based?
I mean, we do have labs, and as I said, in year two, labs are an important component. But you can decide how much you want to be involved with lab work, because medical sciences, obviously, it is lab based, but there's other outlets. If you don't like the lab and you don't like to work with practical aspects, and if you love it, then you can have as much of it as you can get, basically, as much of it as you can stomach.
Yes. Is AMS similar to clinical sciences BSc?
I don't really know what that is, so I can't really answer.
No, it's not. So clinical science is more about things that you would do peripheral to medicine. So in treating people and actually looking at things like clinical trials and so on. So clinical science is part of what you can do as an AMS graduate, but it is a much narrower subset of what you could do.
Okay.
So we don't specialize so much in clinical science. We give you the option to look into it, but we don't specialize as much in clinical science. So there is, if you think about it, medical science is the big umbrella. Clinical science is part of clinical practice, and there is this kind of intersection between the two, where clinical science approaches from a doctor perspective, we approach it from the basic science perspective.
Yes. Could you switch from AMS to biomed, biochem at the end of year one?
So in theory, this is possible. This is what's known as an internal transfer. It's not straightforward in that there may not be room in the place where you want to go. So for example, we often get people from other departments wanting to come into AMS, and I often have to say, we can't take you because we're full. You also have to have the right requirements. So the modules that you took in your year one in biomed or biochem have to be similar enough to our modules. Yeah, it's possible, and people do occasionally do that, but it's not sort of like the free and easy switching I was talking about between the courses in our faculty, which is really simple. So you shouldn't bank on that. I mean, if you want to do AMS, you should apply to AMS, I would say.
Are you interested to see any extracurriculars that are not related to the course itself in the personal statement?
I think I've answered this. I mean, it's nice to see what you're interested in outside of science or outside of school. It's just good to give a flavor of what the kind of person you are, but it's not going to make or break your application. It's not like medical school where that sort of thing, I hear, is really important in a personal statement. We're not like, you don't have to have a grade 6 violin credential or something. It's just, as I said before, just be yourself, be genuine, and tell us why you want to be on the course. And yeah, do mention your hobbies, but it's not going to make or break.
Yes. How much resources are there available for your final exams, e.g. past papers, information sheets, etc.?
Okay, so I get, this is a little bit difficult to answer because I mean in year one it's simple, but in year two and year three there is a wide variety of modules and assessment types. But in year one you'll have one MCQ exam from your foundations early on, and then you'll have a series of MCQ exams at the end, and those represent approximately half the value of the module. But we do not give past papers. And the resources is going to be, you can have revision sessions, there's a mock exam with sample questions so you get used to the format, but the difficulty of the exam is calibrated based on the fact that you don't have access to past papers. So past papers are not available, but there is a lot of support in study methods and in revision sessions and in Q&A and availability to teaching staff to ask questions or talk to them so that you can master the content, because we don't want to put an undue focus on grades. Our focus is learning. If you've learned, that's what we want to achieve. We don't want you focusing too much on grades.
Maybe Miriam could weigh in on how prepared she feels for her exams.
Yes. So especially in year one with a lot of MCQs, I found that if you attend the lectures and if you attend tutorials, teachers give you so many questions within these lectures and tutorials already. Usually they have at the end a few MCQs to go through, and especially because you have the flipped learning and you have the resources before you actually go into these lectures, you go through so many questions and so many exercises that will actually prepare you for the MCQs. So this is why it is a nice construct of learning. And this is why I would advise you to go to your lectures and tutorials if you get into AMS.
Yes, please come.
Prepare you. But then also for other, so in year two, I think it starts with short questions. What's it called again?
Short answer questions, yeah. Short answer
SAQ.
Questions. SAQ. And for that, if you ask if there are like some mock questions, they usually hand out. And for the past 2 years, I've always had help with that, or we as students always got some examples questions, so we can kind of like prepare for that. But usually you will get prepared pretty well, I would say. How should the personal statement for AMS be different to the personal statement for biomed?
So this is a generality for anything that you're applying for, whether it's, a course or a job. You should really look at the job description, or in this case, you should go to the website of the course you want to apply to and see what are they offering, and then you of course want to say that's what you want, right? So you will, if you look at the biomedical sciences prospectus and you look at the AMS prospectus, you will see our ethos, what we offer, and you should tailor your statement to that particular course. And it's true all throughout life. You need to be relevant and yeah, but in this case, of course, you maybe will have a bit more of a medical focus. You have a bit more of an interest in medicine. Maybe in the future you want to do something medical. That would be something to emphasize for AMS.
Yes. So, for example, I apply to a lot of master's programs now, and it says this is the curriculum, these are the outcomes for this degree. Then you write into your statement, I want to have this and this and this. I want to learn this and this and this. So you basically just look at what they want you to have and say, I want to learn this. And then they'll be like, okay, you fit with our program. So that
But
is
do not copy and paste.
do
Do
not
not copy and
that
paste.
is,
That is the worst. You
but
have
you
to
get inspired. Yes.
you have to rephrase it to make it look like it's really what you think. These are the tips and tricks.
Has applied sciences always been around, or is it kind of a new course?
10 years, we were just talking about where this is our 10th year in existence. We started in 2014. I was involved right back at the beginning, 2013, 2014, when we were putting this together. And it's been really a pleasure to watch it grow. I think we started out with 30 students and now we've got hundreds, 30, can you believe it? Now we have hundreds. So yeah, it's been a really successful and popular course and we're very proud of it.
Yes. What faculties do biomedical sciences and AMS each belong to?
So, Faculty of Life and Medical Sciences. Indeed, we belong to the same faculty, right? We're in different schools,
Yes,
right?
we're in different departments, but in the same faculty.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's not true. No, hang on. I said that all right. We're the Faculty of Medical Sciences, AMS, and
No,
they
the
are the
faculty.
Faculty of Life Sciences, and we're in the same school because it's the School of Life and Medical Sciences, I think. Anyway, we're in the same faculty. We're in different faculties. I think. Sorry, I messed that one up. Messed that one up completely. It's been a long day. Sorry.
Is a groundbreaking or important area of research currently that is fascinating, and on AMS, what are some of the interesting research cases?
Oh my gosh, there's so many cool research projects going on with our students. I mean, I can mention one we've got a couple of students in my lab. They're studying biofilms. So biofilms are these crazy bacterial communities they form in your body and then they can resist antibiotics and they're really hard to treat. So we've got people studying those in lab models. We've had people studying, what have we had people studying? Actually, Mary, why don't you tell us, like in a few sentences, what is your project about? I'm really interested in women's health.
I'm not doing a lab-based project. I wanted to, but my supervisor, he told me that he's going to publish. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do a literature-based one if I get published. I'm
No,
doing
yeah.
scoping review right now, and as I said, is within the reproductive health area. And so basically, there is a process which involves abnormal placental growth. So that when you get pregnant, your placenta has its own physiology to properly grow into your uterus and attach and provide the fetus. But in some cases, the placenta grows too deep into your uterus, grows through the endometrium and then into your myometrium, so basically your muscle cells. And that can lead to that when you have birth, the placenta is adhered to your uterus, and then clinicians always like usually rip the placenta out because they need to deliver it, but it's not coming out. And then women have massive hemorrhages, bleed, and potentially die. Besides, fetuses can also have a lot of developmental issues because the placenta is there to provide the fetus and the embryo and the baby with nutrients, with oxygen and everything. And if that's not physiologically correct, then they have developmental issues. And this kind of disorders have been found to be associated with IVF, so in vitro fertilization. So my project is finding out the link between that. Why does IVF lead to that? What are the mechanisms behind that? Yes, and that is not really well explored. So this is what I'm currently doing.
It's quite exciting when students write review articles and then get published. I mean, it happens quite a bit. It's really, to have a publication on your CV from your undergraduate is really rare. and really,
Unusual,
really
yes, and very
useful for
good.
your career. So yeah, that's great. I hope that gets published. That sounds really interesting.
Thank you. Hopefully.
No, don't worry. You'll get it. You get it over the line.
Okay, there's the last question now. Are lectures recorded? Can you access it through the student portal?
Yes, I can take that. So almost all of our lectures are recorded. I think there are some in year 2 and year 3 which basically happen in a room where the facility, or in a venue where the facilities don't allow it. And also there are some kind of sessions which are so interactive that they don't lend themselves to recording. For example, Professor Mill in year 1 delivers a very popular masterclass on viruses, where he basically has this amazing discussion with the students, and they just get right down to the bones of what a virus is like, and what is the evolutionary pressures involved, what is the structure philosophy of a virus, and you can't really record that. You have to be there. So, but so those kind of sessions can't be recorded, but everything else is pretty much recorded, and we have our own. We have a series of platforms, including one which is called Lecturecast, that you will become very familiar with, where you can watch all those recordings. Then they're available to you. But the key thing here is that the material you will actually need for your exam is our online available material. So we have a series of online videos and things for you to read. And that's what you'll be studying most for your exam. So it's not just the recorded lectures that are available, but all of the material, all of the syllabus, all of the curriculum that you will need for your exams is going to be available to you online at the touch of a button whenever you want it.
Perfect. Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know if you mentioned, and it's all, some students actually, you guys may be using Moodle already. I know Moodle is quite widely used even in high school. We use Moodle for our portal, and it's really, really good, I think. Anyway, I
so
think
we're answered all of the questions. If you have any more questions, put them in.
last chance, last chance.
Only 8 minutes left.
Can I just ask you to cover something that wasn't asked, that usually is asked, which is, Miriam, can you tell us about the social scene, like the different societies and things that UCL has?
Sure. So UCL, because it is a really, really global university, you meet a lot of students from different parts of the world. I think UCL is actually the most global university in London, but I'm not entirely sure. At least it says it on the campus.
I'm sure it's true.
I'm sure it's true.
So you meet a lot of students from around the world, and even if you're an international student, you usually meet at least 1 or 2 or 3 people from your home country, which is actually really nice. I'm from Austria, and I've met a lot of really nice Austrian people, and it was nice to interact and kind of like have the home vibe, home feeling. Yes, and in terms of societies, oh my God, there are so many societies. So the student union is a huge, huge thing at UCL, and I think somebody said that there are over 400 societies,
That's
and I'm
correct.
pretty sure that is correct because I've heard societies being on coffee, cat, baking, French, German society, Austrian society, so much. But there are also like societies on scientific or academic areas. There is MedTech Society, which is really, really cool. So if you're interested in medical technology, they have extremely nice events with guest lectures and speakers, and offer even coding programs, which I was once part of, to learn how to code with Python. So that was really nice. So there's definitely like a really, really big social part at UCL, and it's fairly easy to find a lot of people to interact with. Yes. We got a question in. How many intakes are there in AMS per academic year?
Well, this number changes every year, so we can't give you a definitive answer, but it's usually around 80-ish. Is that correct, Hannes?
Yeah, it varies between 60 and 100, I would say, and depends on the year. But in addition, we have a large year 1 cohort, because we also include the 5 other programs, and together it sums up to basically 260 students approximately.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. How can students move on to study dentistry after graduating with AMS?
They do it. So we've got quite a number of people who've done this. I think
Yeah.
it's just a matter of applying to the right, taking the right exam and applying.
I actually have a student who was in my tutorial group that did this, and she's now working in she's she's now working as a technician in a dentistry lab, and then she's planning to apply to the dentistry later on. So one way in which you could do it is you could get a first job in a dentist working as a technician to basically get experience, and then you could use it as a springboard to go into dentistry. Or in some cases, you could take advantage of the fact that we have a leading hospital for dentistry within the faculty to do a placement there or a project there, and then you can use that as a springboard to go into either graduate dentistry or to undergraduate dentistry. So there's many different ways in which you can approach it, and you might even be in a peripheral career as a dentistry technician, or as somebody who does things like building bridges and building teeth and things like that. So there's lots of different outlets if that's the kind of thing that you're interested in, and this course really gives you all the tools that you might need to apply to any kind of healthcare related profession, including dentistry and medicine.
Sometimes we often have alumni come back and talk to people about their professions. So I'm pretty sure we had a session a couple of years ago where all the dentistry alumni came back to chat to current students. So that's one of the things that we offer, is a chance to network with alumni. And these are organized at least once a year.
Perfect. What is the ratio for number of applications to places?
It's more. The number varies every year. We don't take everybody, but I don't know the exact number this year, and it's different every year.
Yeah. So we have 4 more minutes left, guys. So if you have any burning questions or anything you want to know, pop them in. I can come back to what I've talked before about the social part of being a student here, and kind of talk a bit more about making friends, because I know this might be daunting and might seem daunting, especially if you move away from home and come here and you know nobody. Oh, we have a question here. Well, do we touch
Medical anthropology? Not in the first year directly, although there is.
I think there's an optional module you can take on this in later years. I'm pretty sure there's a level 3 module on this. There's a module on everything. I can't say for sure, but I'm almost positive I know students who've done this as an optional.
So there is a possibility, so in year 2 and year 3, to actually take a module from, at least a related module, one that is something that you fit the prerequisites from another department. For example, I had a student who wanted to do bioinformatics and went and took a module on linear and matrix algebra in the mathematics department. I mean, it wasn't easy, so it took a lot for us to schedule it. So unless somebody really wants that and is really keen to do it, we don't do it. But if that's your dream and you want to combine it with medical sciences, we can potentially make that happen. But I won't commit to it because it will depend on you, and it will depend on what you want to do.
Yes. What is the condition required to receive alternative offers from UCL if the course is very competitive?
I don't quite understand the question. And this looks like the kind of question that the admissions would be best placed to answer. And the link to the admissions contact has been put in the chat by Kate. So you can take a look at that link, contact them directly, I think, for that question.
Perfect.
And then this question, it's incredibly competitive medicine, right? I imagine you probably do need a first.
From the students in the past that have managed to get into both dentistry and medicine, the vast majority had a first-class degree, and they were closer to the top of the cohort than to
I think you probably do need
part.
that.
Okay. What is the portfolio that you built in the course?
Okay, I'll take that really quickly because we're almost out of time. So the idea is that you take all your academic experiences, all your journey through university, all the work that you do, the coursework that you did, the lab work that you did, the results that you've done, your experiences, and you put them into an online format that you can showcase to potential employers. And that's really helpful for them. It's a really great way to advertise yourself.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. We have 1 minute left. So I would say we unfortunately ran out of time and we will need to leave it here. But thank you all so much for joining, for your comments, for your interaction and questions. If you have any burning questions, then email admissions team, email UCL. I think you can email Dr. Jennifer Ron or Dr. Papiano as well.
Yes.
Burning questions. Thank you both so much for this excellent session. And Yeah. Oh, somebody even says thank you for the webinar.
You're
Oh,
welcome.
You are
That's
very
very
welcome.
kind.
We'll look forward to receiving your application if you want to apply.
yes,
Thank you very much.
and have a great evening, everyone. And good luck with the applications.
Yeah, good luck.
Thank you. Best of luck. See you
Bye.
later. Bye.
Bye.